Call me lame for not seeing how much I'm tripping. I can't even sleep.
Oh, it's your girl. It's your girl. Welcome back. Pulling back up on us on another podcast. We ain't got this shit with friends. I got a big dog here today, and I'm happy for you guys to officially be here on screen. Dr. Dailey, appreciate you pulling up on us.
What's up? What's up? I'm so happy to be here. Man, oh man. I always brag on my former students, and you are in that top bragging rights. Like I can say I taught her.
Don't do that in my head already. Don't do that now. I appreciate you pulling up on us, man.
Yes,
What you been up to as of lately?
Oh my God. Just trying to get my little program together at UAPB. So like 90% of my life has been work lately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's what the top 1%ers do. They work, man.
Hey,
So-
got to.
So tell the people a little bit about who you are as a woman. You know, you Dr. Dailey, give us the complete breakdown on who you are.
Okay, I'm just a little country girl, number one. I'm from Warren, Arkansas, born and raised, have lived there all my life. Went to school at UAM, got my associate's, bachelor's and my master's degree from there. Have a bachelor's degree in English, a master's degree in the art of teaching. Said I was never going back to school anymore after I finished my master's degree, and I was enrolled very next semester working on my doctorate degree. So I have a doctorate in organizational leadership, Grand Canyon University. Went into education, started teaching, I believe, in 2004. Tried to run away from it, threw all my little books away, like, nah, forget this ain't me. Ironically, went and worked at a kind of like a daycare Head Start for a couple of years. Then I got a call from a friend and said, hey, you want to try it again? And so I did. Went back to, I started teaching at Monticello Middle where I met you.
Yeah.
Left there, taught at Warren High School for a little bit, then decided I didn't want to be confined there for a while, so I went to work for the state for a little bit. I worked for a Division of Youth Services, so pretty fluent in incarcerated education, did that. Left there, went and worked for the Department of Ed for a while, and now finally where I really wanted to be, which was UAPB. Absolutely loved that. So I love education. I'm a mother, a grandmother. I got a grandbaby that is going to be 2 next month. Excited about that. Love to ride motorcycles. I'm president of a motorcycle club. Shout out to Southern Desire, Warren chapter in the No Limit family. So, you know, I'm just a regular person, though. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, like, kids anyway, I used to always tell them, hey, education is cool. Like, you can be smart and be a cool person. And so I really like to feel like, hey, I'm just one of those cool people. I like to hang out or club a little bit every now and then. You know, I'm just a regular degular. I just happen to be brilliant.
Hey, facts on brilliant. That's what I really wanted you to say. People don't realize when they think about education, they think that we're like some sort of box. Like, education is what we do. It's a part of who we are, but there's so much more to who we are as people than just being a professor or just being a teacher.
Exactly. And I know that we hadn't talked about this, but like I'm actually hosting an inaugural event in August for African American teachers, but it's not like a regular professional development. It's more of that self-care and who you are outside of teaching and what you can bring to education. And so that's one of the things that I preach about. Is like, we are educators, but we are so much more than that. And it's that more than that is what really helps our students when we bring that piece of us to the classroom.
Facts. People, when you go to PDs, I don't really like going to PDs unless it's something specific into like what I want to do or what I want to add to the classroom. But what you said about coaching that version of you so you can be better for your students got to understand that you're a person.
Right.
Person first before you're an educator. So when you're able to expand on that, then your kids you can be more accessible to your kids.
Exactly. And when kids see you show emotion in the classroom. Like, I can remember times when I like broke down in the class. Like one time when my when my dog died. Like, I'm a pet person. I love animals, and when my dog died, I was all in classroom emotional. You would have thought my mom when my grandma died. But you know, but I had built a relationship with my students, so it wasn't unusual for them to see me show emotion, and you know, we knew how to navigate through the class day with that. Like, I could still get my work done. I could still teach them, but still be a human too.
Yeah.
Like, people think because you're a teacher, like you just this strict, rigid person. Like, you have no life outside of grade books and
Right.
things like that. But yeah, that's not me.
It's so much more to it. It's so much
Yeah.
more to it. You shouted out Southeast Arkansas. I thought to myself, I'm always bringing people from Southeast Arkansas on the podcast. But I think we got so many different people here in the state, and we don't really expand on those areas. So I thought to, like, secondly, I'm really glad that I was able to bring you on, and especially for, like, people who was like, you were their favorite teacher growing up.
Oh my God. And I you know what? That makes me so happy. Like, students don't even realize, like, when I go on Facebook and they tag me in something or they bring up a memory or something that happened in class, like, that brightens my day so much because to me, rapport is like my biggest thing when it comes to students. Like, I may not have been the best teacher when it came to content. I may not have been the best teacher when it came to classroom management. But I know I was the best teacher when it came to rapport. I knew that I could get students to do things for me because they trusted me and I had built that relationship with them.
Yeah.
So it excites me when I see those different things. And I don't even think y'all really know how much. But if I see something, Miss Dailey, I know whenever a student refers to me as Miss Dailey, those my MMS kids. Mm-hmm. If they refer to me as Dr. Dailey, those were my Warren High School kids.
Yeah.
So, like, I know, and when I see y'all out in public, it's like, man, I get excited. I really do.
Yeah. I didn't say this before, but I'm going to tell the pod, just in case the pod don't know. But you was the first Black person I knew with a doctorate degree. And that really inspired me to go above and beyond and, like, excel, because I've seen somebody that I know close to me be a regular person. Not that you're not brilliant, but you were a regular person. Like, I got a chance to experience you for who you were, and you were able to do it. So that inspired me to go do it.
I'm going to tell you, like, the MMS students, for me,
Hold
it was
on.
like a
Before you even say that,
okay,
you wasn't even my teacher.
I know, but I felt like I was.
Yes.
I mean, because we had that connection.
Exactly, but you connected more with me than my own English teachers did, and I would be with them every day, but I used to be jealous. I want to be in Miss Dailey class. Why is everybody super excited about Miss Dailey? I'm over here.
You know what? So my MMS students, I will never forget, a lot of them told me that I was their first Black teacher. And I just remember, like, shout out to Monticello School District, by the way, because they have all of these African-American principals and assistant principals now. That was not the case when I worked there back in 2007.
That's when I was in school either.
Exactly. So, like, in MMS, in that building, there were 2 Black teachers, myself and a special ed teacher, and of course you had the Black librarian. I can't remember her name right now. But if the students were not in special ed, and if they were not in I don't want to say regular English because it wasn't regular, but just basic English, not advanced English, then they didn't have a Black teacher. So a lot of y'all came to me 7th grade and I had a Black teacher before, and I feel like that's why a lot of the Black students clung to me, and I just loved them because, like, those were my babies. Like, if I'm gonna be your light tower, let me be that light tower. So even if I didn't have you, it was like I had you.
Yeah,
because
we got the chance to experience you, and like you said, the rapport and the relationship that you went and you built, and you didn't even have me in the classroom. That has lasted with me forever. I'll still hit you up about random stuff.
Yeah,
and I didn't have the opportunity. So just like I was saying, it's the connection that you went above and beyond to build with students, not even just like right in your classroom. You changed the lives of those around. And it leads into, like, what I was going to talk about later, but we might as well get into it now because we're conversing about it. But how important diversity, equity, and inclusion is. Not having a face. Now, I did have a teacher. My 2nd grade teacher, Miss Simpson, was Black. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the teachers that I had and I experienced, I did not have another one at all until I got to high school.
See.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a disservice that the school district does by not being intentional of hiring more people of color in the classroom. I really hated to leave Monticello Middle School because of that. Of course, I had to make some decisions for my own personal life, but, it's very important. And when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you also have to talk about this whole thing with critical race theory. And I know that we had said we're going to talk about that a little later, but, that's one of those things that this direction for education it's almost like we're trying to strip the identity of people. And you can't really do that. And when you think about, like, and I work at a HBCU, and that affects us as well. Like, even now, we've already had to change, like, some of our core syllabi. We've had to drop a class. We used to teach a class called Cultural Diversity. That's so important. And not just for Black people, it's important for everybody. Because
Native Americans and everybody else.
yeah, we need to understand other cultures outside of our own. And with this whole thing that they're doing now with DEI, getting rid of the DEI departments and all, like, you're really doing a disservice to the people, and to students especially.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm a little bit removed from it. Has it been implemented as a state law on the state level here in Arkansas? I know it has been in other places, but have they finalized it here?
Yes. I can't remember if it's Act 808 or 809 that talks about removing the what do they call it?
Divisive language.
Well, that, and it's a word I'm trying to think, indoctrination.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yes. So yeah, it has been passed as law, and we're having to
Make some adjustments.
Interesting. And I, as a person that works at a HBCU, I really, I'm in such a disagreement with it, because everybody knows why HBCUs were founded. Is because we didn't have any other place to get an education, and so it's our identity is the very foundation of a HBCU. And of course, we're all inclusive. Like, anybody can attend a HBCU, but why would you take that one thing away that really is the foundation of a HBCU? It's our identity. So
Absolutely. It's weird to me. I'm not sure, but I think as we go through these experiences and as we continue to educate our people, then they'll do a better job of helping us select the people who are going to represent us, because when we make that adjustment through education, then everything else will come along. But I think we have done a poor job within our own communities of understanding that the privileges that we have, the people before us didn't have, and they fought to get them. So we have to maintain those things by staying up to date and exercising those privileges.
Exactly. And people need to realize education is just another branch of politics. You cannot do anything in education without policy. So you got to have those legislators behind you when you're trying to make things happen in the direction that you want it to happen. Like, nothing, it's law. Everything is law. So, and you have to abide by law, which goes back to voting and all this other stuff. We worry about who gets elected as president when we need to worry about who is elected as our local officials in state level. Yeah.
Yes, you absolutely right. Oh, I know this is going to be a good podcast. We is vibing already. There's something that you said earlier in our conversation that I want to talk about before we move deeper into what we're covering today. But you said that you were going to run away from education because you didn't like being locked in those four walls. That's something that resonates with me, because I'm the exact same way. But tell me a little bit about that for you and what that's like.
So, when I was working at Warren High School, and no dig to any of my students, because I absolutely love the students, have never been a problem for me. But it was just, I think I just started thinking, I have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and now a doctorate degree. And if I need to go to the bathroom, I got to wait on somebody to come relieve me. Like, it was like little random things like that I started thinking about. And it was the fact that I really liked teaching. I really enjoyed the students and all of that. But I just felt like there was more. There was something more that I should be doing. And I think that people, when they think about education, the first thing they think about is teaching. That's so surface level. There's so many different things that you can do in education. You can go be a professor. You could do administration. You could be a principal. You could be a coach. You could do consulting. Like, there's so many different avenues to it. You could even do education law. But I think I had just gotten to the point where I knew that there was something more that I should do. And so it was a very difficult decision. As a matter of fact, when I decided to leave, I left before my contract was over with. Like, it was just to the point where I was not feeling like I was living up to my truest potential. So I turned in my letter of resignation. My principal agreed to let me go with breaking the contract, and I went and worked for the state of Arkansas Division of Youth Services. And so that was a pretty interesting time because that's when I was able to get familiar with incarcerated education. I actually went there and I was their director of curriculum and instruction for a while. So I was kind of, I don't want to say over the teachers that worked in the juvenile treatment centers, but I made sure that the teachers were teaching in the correct area that they were supposed to be teaching in. I made sure they had professional development. I would go out and do observations and all of that stuff, which kind of led me towards the more administrative side of education. But then I was working in Little Rock, living in Little Rock for a while. My husband is a country boy. He never wanted to come up here. And so that got a little difficult. So I wound up going back to Warren, but I took a job as a director of a juvenile treatment facility in Derwent. So I did that for like a month. And then it was like, yeah, we're finna give you 2 facilities. So I ran 2 facilities for maybe 2.5 years. But education was still at heart. So I was the director of the facilities, and I had to do like plant management, and I was over a staff of maybe about 100 people. Which, by the way, this is why I don't want to be a boss anymore. I'm through with being a boss. I'll do the work, but I don't want to be over people. I don't really care too much for that.
What is it about that?
You know, I think it's because I really have a sensitive heart. I'm gonna tell you, the first time I had to fire somebody, it was around November. And so the mama in me was like, man, I don't want to have to fire this man. He got a family. It's almost Thanksgiving.
Right, but this man got a family. He needs to do well.
Yeah, right. So let me tell you what he did. Like, he was a real slickster, too. So
it would be easy for me. I ain't a slickster.
It was a slickster. So the kids could not have, like, country bands. So they couldn't have cell phones or any of this stuff. This dude took a notepad, y'all. He cut the inside of the notepad out and stuck a little, iPhone's real flat.
Yeah.
It stuck an iPhone in the inside of course, I called it. And then, I was like, I got to let you go. I really went home and cried, too, because I was like, man, I can't be firing people. This ain't me. This ain't what I do. So, but anyway, that was like my first fire. But after that, man, I was firing people left and right. So, I got over it. Because, hey, it's either my job or yours.
Or them, yeah.
Hey, I got to take care of my family, too.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, so I did that. And then the state had taken over, so that's why I was working there in that capacity. And then the state decided to give it back to private contractors, and so they brought in their own people. I sat at home for about 3 months, created a little business, and then I applied for a job at the Department of Ed, in which that brought me back, driving back and forth to Little Rock. But I did that for like a year and a half, which was approving teacher prep programs, something I was familiar with. But that is what led me to the higher ed side of things. And so, again, got tired of driving back and forth, went down to Vera Lloyd, and I was the director of education. And, I just was not completely at all satisfied with that job. So I was there less than a year, had started working as an adjunct at UAPB, and it was like, as soon as the door opened, we're going to get you in full time. I literally had just had a motorcycle accident when they hired me full time. Like, I showed up at PD with a walker. I was like, hey, this and this. Like, yeah, I'll be there. If you tell me to come, I'm coming. If they had to wheel me in a wheelchair, I would have been there, because UAPB was always the place that I wanted my final retirement and everything from. So, yeah.
So I'm thinking about your, you gave me, I didn't even know this about your educational journey, your career journey, and everywhere that you've been. I see a lot of how I've been moving in you. And I think maybe that's why when we talk, I feel everything is so fluid, because I understand. And when you say that those 4 walls, I don't like them 4 walls.
Right.
I do not like that. I prefer to be able to be free. And that's one thing I don't like about education here. And I think it's an American thing where we're just confined to a space. Mm-hmm. I absolutely enjoy teaching. I love the kids. I love building relationships with them, their families, everything that's going on. But that may be why I'll be jumping job to job.
Yeah.
Because I don't enjoy being in that space. And once it get old to me.
I'm not interested. Monticello Middle School with y'all is the longest that I've stayed in one place.
How long
That was
is that?
5 years. 5 years. I'm really a 3-year type of girl, so I'm doing good at UAPB because
One for me.
see, I'm telling you. But it's because I don't know. I feel like I have so many talents, and I feel like I can be used in so many different directions that I get bored. I really get bored. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over.
Are you gifted and talented? Were you one of those kids,
know what?
those high-level kids?
I wasn't gifted and talented for a little while.
You got to keep us busy. We looking for the next challenge.
Yeah.
And that wasn't it. Or even if it was, I've conquered that. I'm going to do it again every year the same way. I'm not interested.
That's me. And I'm even like that with hobbies. If I conquer something, like once I know I can do it,
moving on.
I just kind of move on. I might even teach somebody else how to do it before I move on. Like, man, I've been an amateur photographer. Like, I've done all kind of stuff. And then I just kind of...
next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is for me. And I'm going to say this to you because I feel like I do so much and I'm in so many different areas. I do the best that I can to educate myself to the highest level. I've been interviewing for like high level jobs that I want to say this correctly. End goal jobs for people in these career fields that I don't feel like you don't need 20 years of experience to be able to do that. I've gotten in here, I've seen like what we're doing, how you getting it done. I see ways to be innovative, and I'm now pursuing those next level admin jobs. I've interviewed for 3 and I've came in second to my knowledge all 3 times to people who have been there for 15, 20 years. And I get it because those spaces, the way education is set up now, they're looking for loyalty, not outcomes. They're looking for people who are going to be there for consistency, not effectiveness or efficiency.
I think that's going to change, though.
I hope so.
Because honestly, and me and Dr. Torrance, Dr. T, we were talking about this yesterday. We need fresh blood. We need, like, hey, I'm getting older. I'm 50, and I'm really at the point where I don't want to work hard anymore. Like, I want to do what I got to do, but I don't want to overextend myself. We need people like you. Like, and I see you in higher ed. Like, the one opportunity that we had when we should have grabbed,
They blew it.
They blew it for real.
I ain't gonna hold you. Y'all blew it.
They blew. Look, I'm talking to the camera now. UAPB, we blew it.
Yeah.
We blew it. Because, I know you.
And price was low then. I ain't gonna lie, the price for me was low then, and I don't mean just money. I'm saying the price and the expectation for me was low then because I really wanted to get out of the situation I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you.
But when we get in certain sorts of jobs, I'm not a type of person who I operate in my purpose. And I feel like anywhere that I go that I'm going to be helpful in that area because, one, I work hard. Just like you were saying that you go to these different spaces and they have a tiny role for you. And then you get in that role. Now they expanding it because they realize, we need to put her here, 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 here. I'm one of those individuals. So when I go somewhere, I'm going to be highly effective because that's what I do. That's who I am. I wanted to get out of a high-level job in that situation because I did not enjoy the confinement and I did not enjoy the micromanagement. I really, really, that's the second time. Maybe it's God. Second time I really wanted to be at UAPB and it just didn't work out at that time. But yeah, the price is going up.
But don't count it out, though, because honestly, when I took the job at ADE, I was still trying to get at UAPB then. And a couple of times they denied me. When I took the job at ADE, they actually called me for a job. But, man, I had just taken money out of my teacher retirement to move up here and all of that. So I was like, I couldn't in good conscience leave the job that I had just accepted because I got an apartment. Like, I had spent a lot of money to make the move. But, hey, it came around again. So I feel like, at some point it's going to come around again. And they probably going to have the money to pay you your work.
Yeah, they going to, hey, like I said, the price going up. So maybe they'll spin the block like they done with you. And I hope they do because I absolutely love UAPB. I love Southeast Arkansas too. But
and we need you.
I want them.
Yeah, we need
But I can't want them for less than what I'm worth. I ain't gonna hold you.
I don't blame you.
I ain't gonna hold you. But let me move to because we really done got to talk. Y'all, I ain't looked to ask none of the questions that I really wanted to ask you. This is an amazing interview. I'm excited about you when you
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Happy for you to be here. All right, so we done talked a little bit about hardhead. We talked about inclusivity and diversity, equity, inclusion. So we've knocked on those walls. Tell me a little bit about you researching your family in the background. I was scrolling on Facebook. This might have been a year or two ago when you had done this. I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw that you had seen that your grandfather or great grandfather, something like that, had some land in Pine Bluff, and you were going investigating these things.
Yes.
Talk about that experience and what made you want to do that.
Okay, so first off, I did not grow up around my dad's side of the family. I actually met my grandmother and my brother before I actually met my dad. I met my dad in 2004, the year that my grandmother passed away. I flew to Pasadena, and he was living with my grandmother at the time. And so it had always been like a deep yearning inside of me to know more about that side of the family. Of course, it's been probably like 20 some years now, and I've spent time with them and learned a few things here and there. But my great great grandfather was actually a very wealthy businessman in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. There's a street called Fluker Avenue, which is very close to UAB.
Fluker, yeah, I know Fluker.
So that's named after my great great grandfather.
Oh yeah.
And he owned like a whole lot of land in Pine Bluff. And he was, like I said, he was very wealthy. And so I'm going to take it back just a little bit before that.
Okay.
So I had started doing the ancestry stuff, got really caught up in that. I wanted to take the test. So I did ancestry, I did 23andMe, and I also did African ancestry because I want to know, like, hey, what tribe am I from? And one point to that is I was going to be pissed off if I had taken that test, paid $300, and find out that my maternal lineage did not trace back to any black people. So I just kept, like, I had my fingers crossed, like, so I don't know. You probably didn't see the post then because this was some years ago. But when I got my results back, I was like, oh yeah, I'm blackity, blackity, black.
And proud about it.
And very proud about it. So, so when I did the test, I think I did 23andMe first. And 23andMe is actually how me and my sister linked up. So December 2018, I get this message on 23andMe, and it was like, hey, I just want to reach out to you. You showed up as my half sister. I'm really trying to figure this out because I grew up as an only child. And so me knowing my dad, because my dad has 5 kids that we know of,
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, so this like did not surprise me at all. So we started conversing back and forth, and she's about 5 years younger than me, I think. But every time people see us, it's like, oh yeah, we can tell y'all sisters, y'all look so much alike. Our personalities are alike. We like a lot of the same things. And so, it's been really great, especially now because, my dad passed in March, which that kind of brought us closer together. And as a matter of fact, at his funeral, that was the first time me and all of my siblings had ever been together. It was first time for a couple of them to meet. And we're all adults. My youngest sister is actually about 2 years younger than my son. So, it's just been a great experience. And so even like when I did 23andMe, I actually was able to link my dad to a sister that he didn't know that he had. And so a lot of people are afraid, I guess, of doing a DNA test. I'm like, oh, the police can get your DNA. Oh, the police can get your DNA from anywhere, baby. You go to the doctor, you have to do stuff. I mean, like, they can get it from anywhere. So I feel like if you are really interested in knowing who you are and knowing your background, like, that's an important step to take just to do it. Like, especially if you don't have people in your family that can really give you that information. But also, too, like, DNA uncovers those little lies that people tried to cover up from a long time ago. And so, yeah, it's just really interesting. And I'm so glad that I did it. And so with doing that and learning more about my great-great-grandfather, I realized, like, I really would like to get a piece of the land that he owned in Pine Bluff and bring it back to the family. Now, what I'll do with it, I don't know, but that was the beginning of my search. So some of the Facebook videos, the reels that you saw, that they were just trying to see if I can connect back to that land that he owned and maybe being able to bring that back to our family.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your dad passing. I knew, but again, sorry to hear about
Thank
that.
you.
Hope you're doing well. Just, grieving with that. Finding out you have a sister through the 23andMe, that is wild.
It was so crazy. So I actually have a little podcast too, even though I haven't.
Stop saying little. Let me tell you.
Well,
I heard you say I started a little business. I started a little podcast. Ain't nothing little bit about it. That little business do big business. Well, let's start over. Say that again.
Okay, let me talk about my big podcast. Now it's been stacked away a little bit because I've been doing work and stuff, but my sister came to visit me one time and I was like, hey, come on in the building. Let's go on and do this right quick. And so we did a little episode talking about, we did a big episode.
Yeah, I was going to correct you. Yeah,
we did a big episode talking about, our journeys and, some of the emotion that we had and the excitement. Because for me, it was like, okay, I got another sister, but it wasn't like a shock to me. Like there was nothing shocking about it because I knew how my dad was and I knew that he had other kids. And with him having a child younger than my son, like Papa was a Rolling Stone. Let's just be for real. So it was not like a shock to my system. For her, it was a shock to her system because she grew up as an only child and now all of a sudden she has 4 other siblings and, it was different for her. But we were so accepting of each other and we just have grown really, really close. And it's only been 7 years, coming up on 7 years that we've known each other. But you think we've been siblings all of our lives, like knowing each other, like we grew up together, and that's not the case.
Yeah. I haven't had the opportunity to find a sister or a brother. 23, I can imagine how exciting that had to be. But I did do Ancestry.com, and we're going to talk a little bit about our results here in a bit.
Okay.
But for myself, you know how they be like, not me personally, but some of the people on my dad's side and their family, they got really, really good hair. So y'all got a little Native American Indian, all this other stuff that people say. Well, when I did the research on my Ancestry.com, we had like some German and Irish roots. And me and my dad, we don't really have a super close relationship. We're good. We talk, text, call. But like all the intimate stuff, we don't really have an intimate relationship. We're working on that since, being on the podcast and all these different things we've been talking about lately and been trying to do a better job. But I went to Thanksgiving with my family this past year. And as we were sitting there talking and we got a little bit into like who his grandfather and his grandmother and who they were, my great great grandmother, I don't think she was a slave, but she used to work for a man. He was an immigrant. He came here from another country. I think he's German, if I'm not mistaken. And him and his wife was together, and she worked for them. And then his wife passed away. And when he passed away, of course, he worked for her. Naturally, they end up getting together. And that is my great-grandfather's mom or whatever, and he looked like a white man when you talk about passing.
Right.
And he looked like he was a white man, and we looked at pictures and we talked about it. And I said, man, that's crazy. This is where they come from. This got to be that, that avenue that they're talking about because the man is German and a little Irish in his roots, and my name is Aaron. Aaron is Irish. I said, that's crazy word. Look how God is spinning around. I don't even know like the roots of everything that's going on. So I really think, just like you said, everybody should be investigating where we come from because African, is it diaspora, however you say it, is real.
It is.
You need to know your roots. And it's unfortunate that education policies and politics want to get rid of us being acceptive into what other people are. America was a melting pot. Exactly. They don't know where we come from.
You are so correct. And it's funny that you say that because I have German ancestry as well. Like my last name was Hegler before I got married. That's a German name.
Yeah.
And I actually was looking at some stuff the other day, and it means haggler, and I was like a person that haggles and bargains, and I'm like, oh, okay then. I can see that for me. I'm a bargainer. I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I was looking at a picture of my great-great-great-grandfather. His name was Phils Taylor. And if you look at this picture, he looks like he's Italian, or he looks like a mobster to me. Like he was part of the mafia, of the 5 families or something. And so when I think about like my ancestry, and I'm gonna tell you, this was one of the reasons why I was kind of nervous about the African ancestry, because like 26% of my DNA is European. So I was like, damn, this gotta be like one of my ancestors was fully white, had to have been. So I don't want that to be my maternal lineage.
Yeah.
You know, I want to. And so I actually have, once I figured out, so my maternal lineage goes back to the Cameroon, and it's the Takar tribe, which is also Erykah Badu and Taraji P. Henson, which I think is kind of funny because I remember one time when I was teaching school, a little girl told me I looked like Taraji, and I was like, oh,
Definitely gave
you getting an A. You good. So once I found that out, I got a really large African tattoo on it's the continent, and I have it in the Cameroon colors, and I have like a little elephant coming out the side of it, but the elephant represents Delta Sigma Theta. Shout out to Spring '03. But yeah, so I mean, it's such an interesting journey, especially when you really do a deep dive in it. Like I got a subscription to newspaper.com so that I could go back in and look at different articles and stuff. And that's how I found out so much information on my great-great-grandfather E. Fluker. Like, he was a very influential man. I can't remember, like, it was something, I think it was what is it? Odd Fellows, which is something like the Masons. Like, he was big time in that. When he had his funeral, it said over 6,000 people showed up to his funeral in Little Old Pine Bluff. And they actually arrested someone for cutting through the funeral procession. I'm like, you gotta be big time for somebody to lock you up for something like that. Cutting through a processional line at a funeral. So I've been able to kind of trace like where he lived, where some of his businesses are, what church held his funeral, where he's buried at in Pine Bluff, and all of that. And then to see that he was so wealthy for his family not to have anything because the city officials and the time like took over all of his stuff. So
I was going to ask you, like, how did he end up losing that? Because you said the land is no longer in your family's land. So they took his stuff after he passed away.
They did.
Legal means? Like, they couldn't pay the inheritance tax or something like that?
So, that's one of the things that I'm really trying to figure out. I did see, like, I found, like, this thing. I'm not really sure what it was. It looked like it was maybe some type of legal document that the city clerk had signed over to a bank or something.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
They finessed him.
I think they finessed him. And I think because his wife was a young mother and probably didn't know anything about the business.
Which is how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Handle everything and
exactly.
what's going on.
Exactly. And I think that's what happened. Like, there was nothing that she could really do or didn't know what to do, and so lost it all.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, and they want us to forget.
Yeah, and you can never forget, especially when you start digging. Like, you never forget.
They want us to forget, and that's not something I'm interested in doing, which is kind of like, I was going to make this comment earlier when we start talking about learning about our roots, and, you know, you had some German and all this stuff, but, like, I don't like how he went about it, but I completely understand. You watch NBA, right? You watch like Kyrie Irving when he had the big thing where he was getting back to his Native American roots, and like some of the comments that he made that people were like outright upset about, but I don't really think what he said. I think they took it out of context, you know, about, you know, black people being the real Jews. I mean, if you really start investigating, doing some history, you understand the facts and where he's coming from with that perspective. But all right, then we gonna move on.
Okay.
Ancestry.com. For those of you, and this is not sponsored by Ancestry.com, but I think it's important that we talk about our roots because you learn so much. I pulled up mine and let's start with ancestral regions. I'm 41% Nigerian. And I'm really proud of that.
36.4%.
36.4?
Yes, very proud of it.
Very proud of that. I really would love to go back to Africa and like experience the land.
I do too. That was kind of one of my reasons for doing this as well, especially the African ancestry. Because I'm like, okay, where do I need to go? And so Cameroon is my spot. Like, that's where I want to go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I want to go check out mine too. I actually, we'll get into that. My next one is 12%. Is it Benin and Togo? However how you say it. I don't know.
Look, we'll go with what
Yeah,
you
we'll go with
said.
what I said. Whatever I said is how I said it.
So my next one is Liberian, Ghanaian, and Sierra Leone, 17.7%.
17.7. I'm 9% Cameroon.
My next one is Senegambian. Senegambian is like 1.8%.
Oh, you don't got a lot of you. I got two. I got a whole bunch of mixes.
Well, I do too. I do too.
Yeah, you got yours is big numbers at the top. Mine,
Because I'm blackity black.
blackity black. I got too much mixes. Me then I'm upset. I'm just gonna name the next one because all of them are less than 10%. I got Western Bantu people, Mali, and then we get up into the European countries, Wales. That's where that comes from. Wales and Germanic Europe, and then Swedish. Some Swedish at the bottom too. What you got?
Okay, so I'm just gonna not call all of them out, but like my next big percentage is Congolese and Southern East African.
Mm-hmm.
And then listen, I mean, I have to let them know now.
Yeah.
And then like I have like these two small, like they're less than 1% African hunter gatherer, and which I can understand because I'm not a hunter. I don't feel none of that. And then broadly sub-Saharan African, but then that's when I jump into my European, which is 26.5%. And then like when you break it down, like 25% of that is British and Irish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So, hey, Irish and Irish, we might be related, Aaron.
Yeah, we might be. Might be. Hey. You know how people say when there's a little mixed kid, that's their white in them.
Yeah.
It's their white in them. Okay, that is crazy. Do you also have the traits? Are your traits unlocked?
Let me see.
My traits, and then while you look for yours, it talks a little bit about like your features and stuff like that, and it tells you what you're likely to have. Mine at the top says likely to get cavities.
Oh Lord, no!
I got that trait. But I when I was a kid, I was one of them kids with them caps in my mouth and stuff because I had them. That was something my mama probably needed to know. Let me eat the candy.
I'm trying to see. Look, I got locked out. Hold on.
Take your time. My face does not flush when I drink alcohol. That's not a trait that I have.
Really? I
am less artistic, and they are right. I don't got none of that pain, none of that musical, can't dance. I don't got none of that in me.
See, and I know like for Cameroon, like they have like a lot of artistic traits. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not, it's gonna lock me out. So, but I'm not very artistic, but I'm kind of crafty. Mm-hmm. But also, again, like I don't stick with a lot of that stuff. Like once I master it, I don't try to like improve on it. It's like I can do it, and see what else I can do.
Something else that you master. We like things that are a little bit more difficult and challenging. What is your zodiac?
I'm a Virgo.
You're a Virgo
energy.
Guess what I am?
Are you a Cancer?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You must be a Leo.
Scorpio.
Scorpio, for real?
Scorpio.
Oh, wow.
Scorpio. Nasty work. I am a Scorpio. What part of your DNA outside of like the white roots? What part of that really like caught you off guard?
God. So let's talk about the Native American stuff. Mm-hmm. Because you don't really see that on DNA Ancestry. So
because they're not going and getting it, though.
Exactly. And that's what I found out later. But that's what caught me off because like my great-grandmother, I grew up with both of my great-grandmothers. So like I literally knew them. And I know for a fact that my great-grandmother had Native ancestry. And so when I looked at my thing, like it doesn't show that in particular on there, but there's like untraced. I'm thinking maybe that's the percentage that is Native American. And so I even had a ex-supervisor, Mr. Henry, God rest his soul. He would not take these. His daughter did one. And I remember him talking to me because he talked about the whole, we are the original Jews, blah, 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 and the Native Americans. He was like, I knew my grandmother and I know she was Native American. And so I don't trust them. But then I did learn that they don't take the DNA test. I don't know if that's like against their rules, policies, or whatever. But
They don't trust them. You know, we're very forgiving.
we are.
We went through them 400 years, and now we be running around acting like it ain't nothing. Them people stand on their business.
They really do. They really do.
They still, and then think about it. They the only ones who like still got their lands and their rules where they can't come over and invade. They made people stand on business about what was done to them that it was done wrong. We, on the other hand, we like one of the only cultures who did not get their reparations because we cool with just being allowed a little bit of freedom and we going on about our business. That's why things are happening the way that they happen to us.
I agree. Because we don't stand on business, and we are a very forgiving people.
Not I. Not I. Okay, but we running out of time. Boy, we done had a good time. Let's get into what I like to call with the Wagon with Friends segments. We do a little fun part of the segments too at the end. The first one we got is called This or That.
Okay.
I know you talked about riding motorcycles. You're one of the only women I know for real that like really in a biker club.
Oh, wow.
So,
really?
Yes, so I got a This or That for you. The very first one is Biker Boys or Too Fast, Too Furious. Which one?
Biker Boys.
Biker Boys, why?
I just really like that. My husband liked that too. So we actually watch that a lot more than we do Fast and Furious. But you know, I like the bikes. I like the sound of the bikes. I like that whole, like, if you ever heard anything about the MC set? I mean, it's just a cool little vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Another one I got for you: the traditions that are passed down or creating new traditions. Which one?
I'm definitely traditions that are passed down. Like, I believe in the whole honor your ancestors, deference, respect those that have come before us. Like, hey, if it worked then and it's still been working, like, let's honor that. So yeah, I'm definitely traditions passed down.
Passed down. I'm more of I love traditions passed down, but I'm one of those people that I don't like keep doing things just because that's the way we've always done them.
Now, I get you on that, especially if it's not working.
Yeah.
And that's one of my things. Now,
or it's outdated.
Yeah. Definitely. Look, yeah, it was like a whole something going on in the back of my mind then. Like, hey, I'm going to catch up with technology because you're working harder, not smarter.
Exactly.
So I agree with you on that.
But I'll rock with that, what you said too. In regards to education, which one? This or that? Lived experiences or degrees?
Oh, lived experiences. Let me tell you. So I could do a whole tangent about these praxis tests because there are a lot of people that will make really, really good teachers, but they struggle with the test. And just because you got a degree don't mean that you're like the smartest person in the room. It don't mean you can teach. It don't mean you can do a lot of. It means you went to school, you paid the money, and you got what you needed to be able to put you in that position. But lived experience over everything.
Absolutely, I agree too. Degrees don't mean nothing. I know a lot of fools with degrees.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of them. Which one would you rather be a part of? The family reunion cookout or an ancestral tour abroad?
Ancestral tour abroad.
Me too.
Let me travel. Let me put my feet on the grounds that they walked on.
Yeah.
That for me, because even now, I always tell people, to me, life is not about money. It's not about things. It's about experiences. I love the experience. That's why I love to travel. I just love to get the experience of new things. Might be good, might be bad, but I can at least say I experienced it.
Me too. I'm the exact same way. I would really love to go abroad and even I would love to do an African culture, but every culture.
Yeah.
I like to go, like for instance, we're going to the Bahamas in a couple weeks, and I'm one of those people, we going to stay at a resort. I like to be engulfed with the culture and the heritage of the people. I want to stay off in the trap.
Absolutely.
Take me to the hood.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to be out here where it look good, this and that. So if I was to go to Africa, first of all, Africa is very rich.
Yeah.
It has the most important resources in the world. That's why everybody want to go.
Exactly.
But I also want to see the side where they live in the huts. And they do this and they do that and the stuff that you see on TV, because that takes you back to the simplest things in life.
So one of a goal that I have on my bucket list is that I want to go to Africa and do mission work for like a month and a half. I just want to go do teacher professional development. And I would love, love. Hey, I would love to do that. So anybody that's watching that's setting up mission trips, put your girl down. I'm qualified to do it.
Yes.
So yeah, like that's
qualified.
that is one of the things that I really, really want to do. I just want to go do a little mission work and try to educate some of their teachers. But I was telling somebody the other day, a lot of the Africans that come over here, like if they come over here and get an education, if they were to go back and use that education, they could probably lock out a lot of stuff, a lot of this misuse or abuse that is happening to the African continent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with you. That's why you go get educated.
Right.
You know better, you start to do better.
Exactly.
Unless you're one of those people that you ain't right, and then you go back and take advantage too.
Right.
So, but before we move on, I would love to go, because he said the Ancestral Abroad tour. I would love to go and like see where Jesus was, where he lived.
Yes.
I would love to get, one of my friends said it before, but I was like, that is amazing. I would love to go get baptized in the Jordan River.
Oh my God.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Being part of that and restart your life and back to the roots, back to the original things. No technology, none of all this other stuff, materialistic things.
Right.
We ain't so caught up in the wrong stuff. Life is very simple.
It is. And we let all of this outside influence affect us. So you're right. And that would be, oh my God. Somebody should vlog about that.
They should. They might have. I might need to look it up on YouTube.
Or you go ahead and take that trip and then come back on the podcast and talk about it.
Yes, I might need to do that. That might be something I'll put on my bucket list.
I think you should.
Okay. All right, so we did that one. Moving into debunking life advice. And we're going to keep it short.
Okay.
But this part of the segment, I like to say different life advice things that people tell people. And then we talk about how we agree or disagree or how our perspective on that.
Okay.
Love is enough. The group chat was talking about this today. What do you think about that statement?
Love is not enough. Love is good, but it's not enough. You got to have communication. Depending on what type of relationship it is, you got to have finance. You got to be able to control your emotions. Like there's so many things that go into relationships, whether it's friendship, workship, whatever. Love is good. Love is a good foundation, but there's so many other pieces that go with that.
Absolutely. Love cannot be enough. I can love you from a distance, especially if you're not good for me, whether that be friendships or romantic relationships.
Exactly.
It is not enough. Y'all heard Dr. Dailey.
Y'all better listen to me.
The next one, time heals all wounds.
Well, time, you have to have the time. Let me say that. You have to have the time. But faith without works is dead. So there's some work you gotta put into healing. I can remember when I was going through something like extremely bad. Like it was to the point that I was ready to just end it all. I didn't want to be here. Didn't want to be a burden to anyone. And I'll never forget, like, I got in my car. This is when I was living in Little Rock. Got in my car, was driving, cried all the way till I made it across the Oklahoma state line. Pulled up at a casino, had not eaten all week, went in, ordered something to eat, and I was just in at the table just crying and trying to eat. Got in my car, rolled back through. I'm a tattoo person. I have like 15, 16 tattoos now. Stopped in Fort Smith, got a tattoo, and then I pulled up in Conway at one of my coworkers' house. And she was like, yeah, you're going to spend the night here. And the next morning she woke me up and she said, look, hit this number. I need you to call these people. It was EAP. She was like, I need you to see a therapist, and because I'm not going to keep going through this with you. And so I did. So, yes, time does heal, but you got to put some work in, too. So I started seeing a therapist. This I actually wrote my book. Because she had me writing things down, just journaling. And like anytime that I felt bad, what I would do, and it's so crazy because I still have these friendships to this day. But when I worked, the job that I worked at, I would sit at my desk sometimes and I would just cry. I would have my face turned towards the computer so nobody could see me. But when I had started seeing a therapist, she was like, you got to do something that makes you feel good. So what I would do when I started feeling bad, like I would write notes and stuff. I might take $5, $10, put it in an envelope. Just go drop it on somebody's desk. Like, hey, lunch on me. Or, hey, I just want you to know I love you. Life is going to get better. Like, all of those things started helping me. Like, that was my journey to healing. So, yeah, time did help. Each day it got better, but I had to put some work in. And I still do. Like, I still have times when I just kind of go back into, like, what am I doing? Like, am I really living up to my true potential? Did these things really shape the way that I am? Like, even like talking about my dad. Like, I'm writing a book now that I'm almost done with, actually. It's Musings of a Wannabe Daddy's Girl. Because I always wanted to be a daddy's girl, but I wasn't. And so even some healing is having to come through that. And writing, that's how I do it. I do a writing, or I try to spread joy in some type of way, because that's what helps me heal.
Yeah, well, thank God for that friend who helped you find therapy.
Yeah, she was like, girl,
find that routine.
Yeah, she was like, girl, we're not doing this. She said, well, I'm not going through, because literally I got in my car, turned off my phone and everything, so like nobody could get in touch with me. But it was because I had reached my lowest point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, time doesn't heal all wounds. Like you said, you got to do some reflection and therapy and get to the roots of why you're feeling that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's solid. All right, well, let's wrap it up the podcast. We got something we do at the end of the podcast. You've seen it before, so I know you know, but we're going to do a little practice before we do it.
Okay.
There's something that we call the weekly heat.
Okay.
And there's a little dance we do before we do weekly heat. So we go 1, 2, 3, weekly heat. Weekly heat. Okay. All right, you gotta make sure you move them fingers too when you move them shoulders down. All right. 1, 2, 3, weekly heat. Weekly heat.
Hey.
Now what I forgot to tell you is you dropping the weekly heat this week. So you take a little moment, give us a piece of advice or something, a scripture, whatever you feel like the people need to hear straight from you.
Okay.
And get us through the week.
All right, here is my weekly heat. And it's so cliche, but do not give up and be yourself. A lot of people get caught up in trying to be like other people, but authenticity sells. It sells, and it helps. Like, when you are being your true, authentic self, you can't go wrong. And when people know who you are, I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever, be yourself, because that's what people want to see. When they get on this podcast and they're looking for you, Aaron Campbell. Aaron show up. They not looking for nobody else, because they could have tuned in to somebody else. So don't give up. Be yourself. I mean, and for you specifically, baby, you got it. You shine. Higher ed, I believe, is your calling. I really believe. I mean, like, this gonna blow up too, because this gonna be your little side hustle. But I'm telling you, don't give up and be yourself.
I appreciate that, man. You're solid. Hey, if you didn't enjoy this week's podcast, I don't know what you're looking for.
Okay, something wrong with you.
Something wrong, Michael. We done kicked it on this podcast. We've debunked a lot of stuff. We had some great conversations. I really appreciate you guys for pulling up on us. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. See you next week. Peace.
Bye-bye.
In the struggle, I'm still out here milking. Cause I be damned if I don't get it for my children's children. And that's real.